Welcome to 5 Stripe Weekly. Atlanta United keep doing the business. We are on to face Toronto FC on Wednesday. Now, how do we get to our second straight MLS Cup final? We discuss all that and more coming up.
Welcome to the show, 5 Stripe fam. I'm AJ, this is Mark. Before we get into it, become a member of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button or hop over from Facebook and subscribe. Atlanta United have put themselves into another final. But first, let's thank our sponsor. This segment is sponsored by Mojitos Bistro. Mojitos at the Forum, where you can find a slice of Miami and Havana right here in Atlanta. They offer Cuban cuisine made with recipes from their mom's cookbook. For more on the awesomeness at Mojitos, check our description box below. So the 5 Stripes put in a solid performance in their 2-0 win against the Philadelphia Union. And I think, there was some probably in the MLS staff that were kind of thinking that Philadelphia were going to get through. And
they were definitely bullish in how they talked about the Union. I think, when you read the quote, it's like they've had a better season. They objectively have not. I mean, they finished with fewer points and fewer trophies. So
and then our form was better at the end of the season as well.
Which is why we got the 2 seed and hosted that match. So
exactly. So it's one of those things where I think what we were supposed to do. We were not the underdog, and we went away with the win and into the Eastern Conference Final. And I think rightfully so. I mean, we controlled a lot of this match throughout. They had a spell, I think, where they were really coming on and creating some chances, but they weren't clinical. They were missing Kasper Jerbilko,
for sure.
A guy that probably would have finished some of their chances that they were
especially that big one in the middle of the first half where I think it's Aronson that goes sliding in. I mean, and Guzan, he closes that well, but maybe a natural striker, somebody who scored 14 goals, maybe he finishes that one.
But I mean, Aronson had scored against Guzan. I mean, notably in that little nutmeg goal that Guzan fell over, kind of maybe prematurely, some would say. So I mean, he should have confidence against a Guzan, but I think Guzan came out well, like you said, and he did just a massive save for us there. That I think really kind of cemented at least the first half for us.
For sure.
In that, I mean, you have to come way better than that chance if you're going to try to score against us. So
Right.
But in terms of the setup, it definitely was something a little bit of a surprise. I mean, we came out with a 4-man back line. Mikey Ambrose came in, Flo Pogba as one of the center back pairing, and I mean, it's definitely a little bit of I think a shock. I mean, especially Mikey Ambrose, who hadn't played since July 7th against the New York Red Bulls. That's quite a while in terms of even starting or playing a part at all.
It's a start. Exactly. And he played at least 80 minutes, so, and that was a huge because I did say I would like to see somebody other than Miram. I just didn't expect it to be Ambrose.
It definitely, I mean, I guess he is our, only viable left back on the roster at the moment that is healthy and experienced in the first team, and so it really worked out. That's a string that Frank de Boer pulled. That, I mean, you have to laud him for. That is quite a move there, and ballsy, in fact, I feel. And then also PT starting as well as Barco. As well as Barco in the middle of the park, essentially. I mean, Barco on the left a little bit more, but I mean, he did what he did in terms of drifting in. He was, really good at that, and I mean, just really surprising, and we played very solid in it.
Absolutely. I mean, the move to put PD in and PD wins man of the match. You know what I mean? De Boer's pulling all the right strings, pushing all the right buttons right now. I mean, I think in terms of the different systems that he's using just in these 2 games, and then the different personnel, different lineups, and it mostly seems to be working. I mean, some would argue if PT had the man of the match performance. I mean, he created 4 chances. He had 7 dribbles. I mean, 84% pass accuracy. I mean, very good for PT Martinez, because
before that, I mean, he was definitely, I think, averaging in the 70% range, and that's kind of a dangerous territory, especially for a match like this.
Yeah, especially for a player in the middle of the park.
Right. And so, yeah, I think especially for P.T. Martinez to essentially have taken a couple weeks off and then, to get right back into the team, I think he did superb.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he didn't have the sexy stat line of, okay, he had 1 assist, but Julian Gressel had an assist and a goal.
Right.
And that's where I think, well, I mean, you could have an argument.
Yeah.
And, I think maybe the argument is that Gressel didn't have the all-around game of P.T. Martinez, but I mean, yeah, he had the sexy stats, and boy, did he have a sexy goal.
Woo!
Yes. So let's get into the breakdown here, where okay, so it's some really tidy build-up.
Yes.
And so you have Barco lay it off to Nagbe.
Yep.
Nagbe lays it off to Gressel. Gressel almost a
one-touch.
A one-touch and 2 PT, and then PT with a kind of a blind through ball for Julian Gressel.
No, I think a key part of this as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is Joseph making that run, right, to take 3 players away from the pass. And so PD plays it through to wide open Gressel.
Exactly.
Streaking on the right because of those players, those defenders have been taken away. And Andre Blake watching this feels like he has to come out.
Right. And I mean, it's very arguable if he needed to. I personally feel like he didn't have to. But Julian Gressel under pressure and does what nobody in the stadium would expect him to do. And he chips him off the crossbar into the net. And that is some kind of sexy.
I mean, like watching that in the stadium, it felt like the ball was in the air for an eternity. It just floats to the goal and then kisses in off the crossbar.
Yeah, I mean, I think many would have expected what he did previously with his his previous goal, was just blasting it through, and wow, with the deft touch to do that, again, no one would have expected that.
Full of confidence. Love seeing that from Gressel.
Exactly, and he celebrates, I think, rightfully so, in the fashion that he did, very passionately.
Yeah.
When he even struck the golden spike at the end of the whole proceedings, like he was doing it with vigor, and really, like I feel like you could feel that. He knew that meant something really, really big for the club.
Right.
Because, to get through a tidy customer in Philadelphia Union.
A team that we struggled with this year. I mean, a loss and a draw at home. It's they had a very good season and they were a solid team. But I still think we were expected to win and to see us take care of business in that fashion.
Indeed.
Very
and
good.
so, I mean, but then, so Julian Gressel's assist, which, I mean, it's just the pairing. It's it's not quite Miggy and Joseph, but it is pretty damn close. If not, I mean, statistically better. I mean, the amount of assists from Julian Gressel to Joseph Martinez is just, it accounts for a very large percentage.
Yeah.
I think definitely a majority of Joseph Martinez.
I love it when Julian Gressel looks for the early ball, and that's exactly what you saw. It came off a Philadelphia corner, and Gressel for some reason has time at the top of his own 18 and looks up and there's Joseph running. So of course you're gonna put it over the top for him.
Oh yeah, and then so Joseph Martinez, I mean, he finishes this chance that is arguably the hardest of his chances that he took.
I think he had a header a few minutes earlier that was like, how did he not put that on target?
Exactly, he had a semi kind of one-on-one. I mean, he was being trailed by a couple of defenders, and he misses that chance. But this one, no one expected from that impossible angle, and he puts it top bins
with his left,
with his weaker foot. Oh, woo.
Yeah.
So I mean, this goal from top to bottom is just beauty.
Yeah.
And just a rocket, a rocket of a left foot. I mean, no one can ever say that Joseph Martinez doesn't have a left foot or is one-footed or anything.
Or that he doesn't score bangers. Like
exactly.
He's not a tap-in king. Like
exactly. He's not a poacher in the truest sense. He definitely can poach, but man, does he do almost it all. I mean, the only thing maybe that's missing is scoring from outside the box, but he just doesn't need to do that.
Right.
He gets himself in such a good position. The best strikers score from about the 6-yard box.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the best chance.
And within that, that box that he scores from, he scores with a variety, with his right, with his left, with his head. I mean, he is a complete striker in that regard.
Indeed. So, I mean, in terms of those chances that we took, they were really well taken.
Yeah.
The issue were some of the other shots that, were missed throughout the match. That does happen, of course.
Right.
But, I mean, I think the interesting stat is 2 games now in a row in terms of shots taken by both teams, they're tied.
Yes.
And so it was 14 shots last match and it's 12 shots this match. I think the onus on defending probably is a lot more kind of amplified, definitely in the playoffs for sure. But in terms of our shots on goal, 5 to their 3. So, and then we controlled most of the possession. So I think we expect that in terms of, on and at the bends, that's definitely the case.
Right, yeah. I mean, most of their shots, in my opinion, weren't dangerous, except for the 1 or 2 big ones.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, second clean sheet in a row. I mean, we've had 2 of, I think, 3, maybe 4 clean sheets in all of Major League Soccer in the postseason. So
ain't too shabby.
Yeah, we're doing something right, and it's great that we're doing it at this time of year, especially when the trend seems to be going the opposite way.
Right, indeed. But in terms of some of the other very specific stats that Frank de Boer likes to really hone in on duels.
Yeah.
And, how do we do?
Yeah, 57-39, and it shows that once again we were winning the midfield battle, and I think for the most part controlling the game. Like we talked about, there was a period when Philadelphia kind of worked their way back into it, but for the most part we were in complete control of that. And even like I mentioned before on the fan cam, even the giveaways weren't bad necessarily. They were. There's sometimes where Philadelphia pressed us out of possession, and then we were able to get back in our shape. And
which is what we expected from them going in. I mean, they're going to be that type of team that it's like a Red Bull Light a little bit. That where their press isn't as strong. They're a little bit more of a possession heavier team.
Right.
And of course, they play with their diamond, which can be confusing for for some clubs. And I think we noticed earlier in the season at the bends that Frank de Boer tried to match that diamond and really worked to no effect whatsoever.
Right.
And I think he went out with the right mindset, the right tactics in this match to really kind of nullify as much as possible. Alejandro Bedoya, had a very quiet night. Yeah. Meduyanin, didn't really hear about him too much. Right.
Yeah,
so
kind of a stinker, really.
Right. So in terms of that, I think we look and we come out pretty much on top and looking quite good, and quite confident going into the next round.
Yep.
Because anytime you can get that clean sheet, it is massive.
Yeah.
So, but another negative into some of the stuff that we talked about in terms of the chances that were missed, but another negative I think in the stands was, I mean, very nice of the club to have handed these out, but the Burger King hats were, I don't just don't force us to do that again. I mean, I think we all played along.
A lot of fans played along and wore them until walking out of the stadium.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's just. I don't know. I mean, I get the whole hashtag Kings Become Legends, great.
Right.
But
Joseph's the king, yeah. Right.
But I don't know. This wasn't it for me. It's just like I don't mean to be ungrateful or anything like that.
Right.
But it doesn't seem like a lot of people were clamoring for those crowns.
Right.
So, but cool nonetheless of them to do that. So we'll
thanks for
applaud it.
trying.
Yeah, but at least you tried Bart Simpson cake. But anyway, let's get into the post-match quotes. And Frank de Boer, he talked about PT that he defensively we did a great job. We were very disciplined with PT and Barco, and especially for them, it's different than they aren't normally used to. That's how Frank de Boer speaks.
Right.
And I think they did really well. And I think he subbed off Barco, rather than PT, which is interesting.
Right.
And so.
Right. Yeah, and I think
that's some confidence in him. I think.
I think so, yeah, and I think at that point in the game, that stuff made the most sense too. It wasn't Barco had kind of a quiet night. He had some moments, but it was really PD's match, I think.
Yeah, and so he added. Yeah, Martinez had to play between the lines, not to go too high. When we had the ball, try to receive the ball between the lines where you can turn on guys like Medunin. He isn't a great defender, so if we can search for Barco and PT in those areas, then they can come into their strength. Then we have to have runners with Joseph and Julian, and the first goal was a little like that. And so yeah, magnificent that he was able to get in between the lines and really kind of dictate things within the match, and I think we really needed that because there was space in between. There was the press on from Philly, but he was able to turn them quickly, and there were several moments in the match where it was he was oohing and ahhing with his dribbling, getting past those guys. So
I think that's why ultimately he earns man of the match for that. For like he said, like DeBoer kind of alluded to, he was actually more defensively responsible in this match than he has been in the past. And he was fouled so many times. I mean, he had a tough performance. So I think he put in the hard yards as well as the quality on the ball. Yeah,
as the sirens are out for our arrest, so this is the last time you see us. Then
free
they
AJ.
Got us. They got us. But no, we haven't committed any crimes. But yeah, sorry for the sirens. But we do live in the city. So, anyway, back on track. And so they were also talking about the whole team being just the whole squad being such a big factor in these playoff wins. He said, Frank DeBoer said, "We're not going to do it with 11. We're not going to do it with 12 or 13. No, we'll do it with the whole roster." And so it really is, Ambrose coming back from dead, pretty much is, just amazing, really. No one would have expected.
But shouts to Pogba as well. I mean, getting start and going the full 90, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So, and he did really, really well. Yeah. Larry also back in that as well.
Again.
And, I think Remedi kind of steadying the ship as well when he came in.
Yeah, it was good to see him and come on when he did too.
Exactly. I think that's a little bit of confidence for him as well because he was part of a clean sheet. So that's massive. So anyway, that wraps up a bow for that match and moves us on into the news. And another goal of the year, whether it's voted by the fans or not. He wins, and that is Joseph Martinez with that goal against FC Cincy, where he took a couple souls, hit it with his weaker foot. And it is, I think, embarrassing on all of their ends, really, in terms of FC Cincinnati, just the goalkeeper. He just showed everybody up.
Yeah.
And Joseph Martinez, another plaudit for him. I mean, it's build a statue at the earliest point possible.
I don't know.
Not right now, of course, but it is,
Joseph is part of the current Atlanta sports Mount Rushmore, right?
Yeah.
You've seen that going around with Joseph, Acuna,
sure. In terms
Trey.
of the current. Current landscape. In terms of the stars that are really making at least Atlanta fans proud.
Right.
I think even kind of greatest of all time, there is starting to get a little bit of an argument now.
Yeah, let's let him do it.
But I know exactly. It's still parts of 3 years essentially.
Right.
But yes, I think he keeps this up. It is good things for that little bit of a stone in his future.
Yeah, right.
But so moving on from that, Brad Guzan, he unfortunately finished 4th in the MLS Goalkeeper of the Year voting. And
interesting note, it's broken down by player, club, and media. Player vote, actually, he got the edge. He got the highest plurality, I guess you'd call it, of the players. But the media is where he kind of gets fleeced a bit. I mean,
it's the favorite was Bill Hamid of DC United, and maybe he was Hamid talked up such a big game about himself, and
right.
But I don't see him getting 14 shutouts on the season.
Right.
I mean,
for a DC team that doesn't play that expansively to begin with.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, for him to pretty much not face maybe that many chances to begin with as well.
Right.
Yeah, it's a little bit, kind of head scratching. And then Vito Minone, I mean, there's some strong Kool-Aid maybe for Minnesota United and their defense and their goalkeeper.
Right.
Because, I mean, sure, it's from where they came from, but it is one of those things where...
Because Ike Opara wins Defender of the Year as well,
Yeah,
right?
and then Goalkeeper of the Year for Vito Minone. I mean, I don't know if that's like the best representation also of MLS in that regard.
Right, yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm an Arsenal fan, right? And so Vito Minone couldn't even cut it as a third goalkeeper, essentially, for Arsenal and for many of the... Yeah, he was in the championship, I believe, for a minute. I don't know. I don't know if this is like a really, really good representation. And so,
yeah, I mean, and from that perspective, I mean, Brad Guzan was... His team got relegated before he came to Atlanta United. Sure. So, there is a little bit of that too, But,
yeah, but it is like at least, he was like, I think, the starter. So,
true.
One of those things where,
we know how good Guzan is. He has 2 postseason clean sheets.
He doesn't need this award to validate that.
Sure.
But anyway, so moving on from that, let's get into the playoff matchups. And so, I think it's obviously there's only one more matchup left in the West, but how they got there, LAFC, they beat LA Galaxy 5-3. They finally got the snide off of their back.
Right.
And Vela, he showed up in a big game.
He did.
His own coach had a question about that, and he forgot. And then he blew up at the silent reporter.
Yeah, I am Team Sebi. I just want to put that out there, man. He's just doing his job.
He was very professional about that. I mean, like
and then like Bob Riley's agent is out there, on Twitter saying things.
Yeah, but essentially, if you missed the whole kind of interaction, basically, Bob Riley was asked that, did Vela actually show up in a big game now? Okay.
Yeah. Did he show you something?
And Bob Riley was like, who said that? Who asked those questions?
Yeah.
And then it's like, turns out,
yeah.
Ergo, like you did, Bob.
At the beginning of the season, when you challenged Vela to be Messi.
Yeah. I mean, and then he told Sebi to get lost.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, wow, a little bit testy maybe you do it, but I mean.
I think also too, and they kind of talked about this. I think it's a little bit showing up for his team. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So it's like that clip and that soundbite. It's like, oh yeah, the coach has our back or whatever.
Right, but then he looks like kind of a fool when it turns out he asked the question. So it's so their opponent Seattle, they beat RSL 2-0, and I mean it's another in terms of a former MLS Cup winner.
Yep.
I mean, I think Seattle showed the experience, and especially our opponent, Toronto, they showed the experience as well.
Yep.
Another, of course, MLS or former MLS Cup winner.
Yep.
And that's just, I think, the winning pedigree, I feel like, is definitely within the conference finals at the moment.
Yeah.
And then,
the last 3 MLS Cup champions represented 16 in Seattle, 17 Toronto, and of course, you remember what we did last year.
And so LFC hopefully are not in that territory.
Nope.
And, but they are Supporter Shield winners, and so
it's a pretty good field, all things considered.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's I think very, very good competition for whomever gets through, and it will be, I think, quite a game for any of the teams that are still left if they get through into the MLS Cup final. But something I couldn't fit within any of the other parameters of this show, but I wanted to talk about was that how much the team is a different team in knockout games. And I mean, Jose Martinez, he's always got that winning mentality.
Yeah.
He says, the mentality in these games is to win. You don't know how, you can't think too much, you just have to win. As I said last time, we didn't play our best and won. Today, or on Thursday during the match, today we played better and won. We're not the best every day, but today we can say that we did well and we can think about Toronto.
Yeah.
Fantastic from him.
Yeah.
And Lorenowitz, he talked about just always want to be in a big game match or something like that.
Right.
Very awesome. I'll let you get this one.
Yeah. I wish we could play for trophies every day because then it would be a little bit different. Because I do think that there's times when we do take a break as a team during the season. It's the mentality. It's the champions mentality that a lot of these guys have when it come from other places, and I think the guys that have been around this league knows what it takes to try and pull it all together.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think both of these guys, that's perfect championship winner mentality. I especially like Joseph, being like, we don't necessarily have to play well to win. I think like sometimes you see some teams, especially younger teams, that do well, but then get into certain situations, they're taken out of their game a little bit and they don't know how to respond.
Right.
But
or conversely, even like where they don't have a good performance, but then they can't figure out how to get back into the match.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not the mentality that Atlanta United has, and so you love to see that.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, wanted to fit that in somewhere, but yeah, I mean, and speaking of a winner, in Justin Meeram's IG story, it showed Michael Parkhurst already back on the pitch, spraying some balls, playing long ball. I mean, that's
shoulder was
really
not in the sling, right?
Shoulder was not in a sling. So, and only pretty much a few days after that kind of injury is I think very, very encouraging. Whether it means he's going to play a part in the next match,
right? We're still a few days out. Yeah, we're recording this on Sunday, so we'll see.
But I think still it's highly unlikely. But still, I mean, the fact is that he's out there. Like the lasting memory, you don't want to see him just kind of with the mangled shoulder walking off the pitch. That's if he can get another run out, I mean, at some point that would be huge, not only for the team but also for Michael Parkhurst. So moving on from that, George Campbell was pretty much talked about by Frank de Boer in a Pro Soccer USA article. And he was quoted as saying, he's comfortable on the ball. I think both feet are also quite good. He has the length, his height with him. He's quite fast also. Of course, he has to learn a lot still, but he has the weapons to be a good center back. He talked about how pretty much George Campbell is kind of, a good pairing in the future, perhaps, with a Miles Robinson, in that George Campbell is really good on the ball, still learning how to become a really, really out-and-out good defender in that sense. But he had played as a striker and as a midfielder in the past, but I mean, quite good in terms of the prospects. Yeah, I mean, he sounds like he profiles really well, and I mean, like he's had some pretty solid appearances with the twos this season, especially as a 18-year-old. Yeah. I mean, I think 17 or 18-year-old. 18, right? Yeah, and so, but either way, I mean, still young, and we kind of did this with Miles a little bit last. I mean, Miles was able to get some first team appearances in there, right? And then plus he had played college as well, so that's a little bit different. He had time to develop already before that. So, but I mean, I'm excited about Campbell next year making some appearances or just training with the first team in general. Yeah, exactly. So very, very encouraging things to hear about George Campbell. Another homegrown, George Bello, is off with the U17s and the U.S. Youth National Team. Yep. And they're already in Brazil, and they're already making their way and getting into some games. So. I don't know what the final score is, but I believe they got worked by Senegal. So but I don't think Bello played in that one either. Yeah, I don't think he did. But either way, still best of luck to him. Exactly, and playing a part in the U17 World Cup is still a great experience for Bello. Right. And unfortunately, yes, he won't be playing with us in the playoffs, but I don't think that was really in the cards after how his year went anyway. So, but moving on from that, Atlanta United 2, they made their off-season moves with a lot of guys, either their options exercised, or they're out of contract, or their loans ended. And I mean, commiserations to the guys that were let go. Best of luck to them in their future. But some guys that I think notable ones that were exercised were Jackson Conway and Lawrence Wyke. Yep. Lawrence Wyke has kind of been a guy that played in the defense, but also was pushed forward as well as a midfielder at times during the season. Jackson Conway, a big kind of girthy striker that, I mean, kind of came from our academy. It makes sense that he was kept around. Out of contract, notably, is captain Jack Metcalf. kind of the Swiss Army knife guy that had been playing some midfield, some right back, some left back, all over the pitch. And for him to be let go, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Won't know who's going to be the captain going forward, but he has been a very admirable servant to the club, has represented the club very, very well in terms of lineage too.
Right.
Another guy out of contract that's notable is Kevin Barajas, the dream tryout winner, and it's that's I think a kind of living vicariously through him type of dream tryout guy.
Right.
Like, it sucks to see a guy like him pretty much not get renewed.
Right.
It's
but I mean, I hope he continues with his dream though.
Yeah, exactly, and is able to catch on somewhere else in the USL.
Yeah.
Because I think he had some good performances with the Twos when he was there. So, but and notably, a loan that was ended was Bienvenu Kanekimana, a guy who had scored, I believe, like 5 goals in the short time that he was with the club. I mean,
sure.
Yeah, I mean, probably the parent club realized, we probably shouldn't have let him go. There is something there.
Yeah.
So it sucks for us because, I think he was one of our more clinical guys when he was with the club. But I think we have a lot of strikers still within the club. So I think there's still, we need that space. We need to be able to develop our own guys that we have control over. So it makes sense in that regard. So best of luck to all the former Twos. But that does it for the news and gets us to the buy or sell segment. And simply, if you haven't seen this before, basically we put up an LA United topic and we say if we buy or sell it. So first topic is, you will go to LA if LAFC and Atlanta go into the final.
That's more of a literal buy or sell, right?
Yeah, it is, because yes, the surprise of it, I don't think anybody is like planning, and that's the tough part.
Yeah.
Is you want to knock on wood that, man, we even get to the final.
Right, first and foremost.
Right, and so if you're planning on going to LA, it's like you have to get a ticket last minute.
Right.
I mean, personally, I probably sell that I will be able to go because it's just so last minute. I, of course, want to.
Yeah.
So if there's any way that you guys want to help us get there,
right,
I will vlog the hell out of it. And, there will be content galore from me there. And plus, my sister lives out there, so it's at least some of the.
That's the one thing I'll say.
Some of the bills will be a little smaller.
I got a family in LA, so all I need is a plane ticket, and and even if you can't get into the game, because that would be a tough game to get into.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's not 40,000 seats; it's only 25,000. So, but being in and around LA for that.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun, but hopefully it's Atlanta and Seattle in the final. But we'll see. Yeah. We'll see, of course. But I think it'll be fun either way. Next topic is Parkey or Miles Robinson will start another game in the 2019 playoffs. Buy or sell?
I'm gonna buy it because I could see Parkey starting the final.
Ooh, okay.
So if we advance, and we'll preview the match in a second.
Yeah.
But if we advance, I think Parkey's in play to start that final. I mean, it's one game.
Yeah. No, I also buy that. Yes, if it's either one of those guys, it's gonna be Parkey because I think he's the one that's closer. I mean, Miles Robinson has kind of injury to his leg, which is a little bit harder to come back from. It's a finicky injury that can kind of reappear.
The hamstring is a tough injury to come back from.
Yeah, especially on kind of that short of a time. Parkey with the shoulder injury, I mean, it said it was going to be 2 weeks,
right,
or so, and then if we do get to the final, there will have been probably about 3.5 weeks or so.
Yeah.
So that ain't too bad. That's enough time, I feel like, to recover. And he kind of has that muscle memory, as he's shown. He didn't feature for 2 months maybe,
right?
And then all of a sudden, shows up.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I think we're in agreement there. So that does it for buy or sell and gets us to the mailbag. You guys send in these questions through IG story. Please continue to do so, and we might answer your question in the future. First question comes from
Obvious shout here is Joseph. I feel like, he's the natural leader, he's the emotional leader, and people already look up to him, and he's obviously going to be here. I would keep an eye on LGP, though, because I do think that he has a certain amount of clout in the locker room. I think he's definitely a leader. He's been here from day one as well, and so he's a little bit older than some of the other guys. So I think
and he always
he's a natural leader.
Takes in the new signings under his wing. He shows them Atlanta. He shows them how to do things within the Atlanta United club setup. That's good on him. I agree with those two. The stalwarts as well as you have Brad Guzan and Jeff Marinowitz. If they're in terms of Larry, if he's with the club next season, I feel like he's one of the captains. If not the out and out captain. He might not be a guy that starts every single game, but that's where I guess Guzan comes in as the goalkeeper. It's one of those, like goalkeeper captains. Like you want an outfield player to be the captain normally,
right.
But he's shown on occasion this season that he wears the armband, and it's no sweat lost in terms of that. But there are some dark horses, of course, as some other guys, but that's where the next question comes in. And so G Meadows 33908 asks, what are your thoughts on Nagbe possibly being chosen as captain going forward? So that's if he's with the club next season.
Right, that's the main. Right, that's where you got to start with that question.
Because that's the is he going to Columbus? Is he not going to Columbus? Is he out of contract or not? And so if he is, Parkey has said, in that the BS podcast that he doesn't see Nagbe as a captain, and I think most of the people are in the club pretty much kind of see it the same way, where he's not very vocal. He's not a guy that is very fiery. He has said that pretty much it's not every single time the best player on the team is the captain.
Right.
And so I think this is one of those instances where I feel like Parkey is correct. It's just maybe in the previous times I would have thought Nagbe kind of that natural air to it, but he's in the clubhouse. Parkey's in the clubhouse, and he sees what's going on. I think, I agree with the captain.
I think that falls in line, I think, with everything that we've seen as well. But Nagbe, if anything, seems like a one-on-one type of guy, but to say, like, he's out there berating people or, just instructing in general, maybe not as much.
Right. And so, maybe if, there's some sort of, like, personality change, but that's probably pretty unlikely.
Right.
But next question comes from Lanier Gordon. Do you think we will have Gressel next year?
I think so, yeah. For one, I just don't see him playing for another MLS club. And I know that, listen, don't get me wrong, I appreciate Gressel. He's maybe our most consistent player. He's up there in appearances for the club overall for a reason. But I just think him playing in Europe, maybe there's still a little bit of a gap there, especially in terms of like a top 4 league. And so I think it makes sense for everybody. He definitely deserves a raise. He should be paid he should be one of the best paid players at the club. And I think that we would do that, and I think everybody wins in that scenario.
Yeah, it, of course, it has some factors with it, but Miles Robinson, yes, he was the number 2 in the Super Draft. He was a Generation Adidas player, but apparently there were whispers that he got around like $600,000 per year as the contract, and so. If that's the case, then a Julian Gressel, probably should be getting around that territory, if not more.
Probably.
But it, of course, deals with some, TAM and GAM type of situations that will need to be sorted out. I think Gressel will be a 5-stripe next year. It's just a matter of, that raise, which he wants. He's been kind of vocal about it in some regard on social media, and then also, the fact that he has to, he's been hustling for those sponsorships. He's been hustling for the, the kind of charity thing that he put on. He is on his grind. He deserves that for sure. Anyway, next question comes from Javier Martin 9 with a very kind of topical of all this question. Who is leaving us at the end of the season?
Good question.
Very good question. It's going to be, I think, contingent on a lot of things. You have the CBA negotiations, kind of a very big impact. Who's going to be kept in terms of the expansion draft is a massive thing, because who they keep is very telling, I feel like, of who's going to be able to stay at the club. And so those are factors that we will see once the season is over and once the draft happens. But I feel like you'll see some turnover, because there will be more of the guys that Frank de Boer wants being brought in. That always happens, I believe, in the kind of second season of a new coach. So that will happen as well. I think so. In terms of specifics,
maybe in terms of bigger names, keep an eye on we kind of mentioned Nagbe. Also, LGP is not signed past this offseason as of right now.
Tito Pichalba as well. His contract ends, I believe, in December.
So those would be, what you keep an eye on in terms of how the club moves, what the club decides with those players. We don't know yet, and they really don't know yet, because like AJ mentioned, with the CBA and all that. But they don't even know if Tam and Gang will be a thing. Right.
But I can tell you definitively who's leaving us at the end of the season. Michael Parkhurst. Last question comes from Liam Auger 124. I am a big fan and I want to get a shout out. Well, Liam Auger, thank you very much for being a big fan, and here's your shout out, Liam Auger. And thank you so much.
Thank you to everybody who is a big fan.
Exactly. We really couldn't do this without you guys, and so it means so much to us that you guys tune in every single week and interact with us on social media. All of that, it really means a lot. So thank you very much. So that gets us to our match preview. So, it's Toronto FC, who've always played us tough.
Always.
It's on Wednesday at the Benz, and in their current form, they're even doing better than we are. They have 4 wins in their last 6 and no losses. So they're on a roll. They're really doing quite well. They just beat the number 1 seed NYCFC on a last-minute penalty kick with a very ballsy Panenka by Alejandro Pozuelo. But in terms of our last 6, we have only lost 1 and won 4 as well. So
we've also played Toronto 6 times since the beginning of 2017. We've won once, they have won twice, and there's been 3 draws, all of them 2-2.
Which is kind of bizarre. It's like it's been that here and there. But of course they did do that to us on decision day last season, and I think there's some retribution still to be had. Because yes, we did beat them earlier this season, but they did beat us again, and so we need to even up the score a little bit and really put them to them.
And most of all, we cannot lose at home to Toronto in our season. No way.
Absolutely not. But anyway, in terms of how they play, they're a team, definitely, that likes to play through balls, likes their long shot opportunities, especially I think when you have a Josie Altidore in the squad. I mean, he plays like a target man in a sense sometimes. And so he's a guy that, they will really lump it to if they need to.
If he plays, because he has not played in the postseason so far, and they've gotten by without him. So.
But that's an allusion to something later on. And but they finish their scoring chances really well. And they defend their set pieces very, very well as well. They are a team that can control the game in the opposition's half as well. And so we need to be very wary of that. We need to be able to kind of play out if we need to, or just lump it long if we need to, and just get out of a bad situation if they're pinning us back.
I mean, we mentioned their win over NYC, and they controlled large parts of that game. I think down especially to their 3-man midfield of Michael Bradley, Marco Delgado, and Jonathan Osorio. And it's a tough midfield 3. They win the ball, they create chances, they do the through ball. So they're
a hardworking midfield for sure.
And I think they'll make us work for sure.
But in terms of some of their weaknesses, they're not too great at defending on the wings, and so really that's where we're gonna have to try to get at them. And I feel like we again still have that really great delivery from the right side at least with Julian Gressel. But in terms of their players to watch, you got Alejandro Pozuelo.
Alejandro Pozuelo, he's kind of the Giovinco replacement, not a like for like necessarily, but I think in terms of profile, and just being a talisman. And they've been using him at the false nine to fill in for Josie, and it's been working quite well.
Yeah,
actually.
quite effective for them at times because it confuses the opposition. He drops between the lines a little bit, and then you drag the center back in. And
other players run into space. Toronto has they're in good form for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. And so he's got 14 goals, their leading goal scorer, and he's got 8 assists.
Yep.
Also, their leading assist maker as well.
Right.
Josie Altidore has 11 goals and 5 assists, having a decent season, kind of a little bit injury plagued, tiny bit, but and then of course the midfielder that we talked about, Jonathan Osorio, he's got 7 goals and 4 assists. So I mean, he's a guy that can run things through the middle for them a little bit as well. So, but in terms of our guys, we've got some players to watch as well.
Yeah, pretty good. Joseph. The King Joseph, 28 goals, 3 assists. We've got Julian Gressel with 7 goals and 12 assists. These are all regular season stats, by the way. And PD Martinez, of course, as you know, with 5 goals, 8 assists. And those were really our 3 best players from the last match. And I think we'll be probably leaning on them heavily again going into this match.
Right. But, I think Ezekiel Barker will kind of sneak in there as well with, a performance that, we will need as well.
Maybe a playoff Escobar sighting.
Exactly. So, but in terms of, the illusion of the injuries and unavailable players, yes, questionable is Josie Altidore. He's got that quad strain. He's been out pretty much for the postseason, like Mark said.
Right.
And so whether we'll see him or not, we don't know. But they've been doing the business without him in that sense. Did it against NYCFC. That's a tough opponent.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they didn't quite need him then. So that's, but will they need him against us? We shall see. Defender Omar Gonzalez is out with a hamstring injury, and that's all it is for them. In terms of us,
the usual. Got Miles Robinson working his way back from a hamstring injury. Michael Parkhurst working back from his dislocated shoulder, and then of course the long-term injury of Breck Shea. Yeah.
So let's get into some of the match facts. And Atlanta United have won 8 of our last 9 home matches, and that's in MLS. So yeah, I mean, we've been in scintillating home form for sure. We've scored at least 2 goals in our last 11 in our last 13 matches, rather. So 2 goals in 11 of our last 13.
Yeah.
And that's quite a few goals. Yeah. So,
pretty good. And then Toronto are undefeated in their last 12 matches. So I mean, they're
flying high a little bit.
Yeah.
And hopefully, in that lucky 13th, we can put it to them.
Right.
So, but into the keys of the game for this, I think very, very. I think kind of reminiscent of past keys to the game. We have to attack from the wings because Julian Gressel, that delivery from the wingback position is just so good.
Yeah.
And anything from the left in terms of Justin Miram or Mikey Ambrose, or even if when they drift over PT Martinez or Ezekiel Barco.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's really where we can really punish teams.
Yeah. And I think we need to keep them honest in terms of the left side, so that teams can't just tilt over to the right side.
Exactly.
To stop Gressel and etc.
You've seen the overloads, and that's why it happens, is to free up pretty much the right wing for Julian Gressel to have the time and space to be able to put in the beautiful balls that he does.
Right.
I think the interplay, if there's an Emerson Hyman on the left or Ezekiel Barco, I mean, that really has been quite tidy and gets us up the field as well, and there's that kind of attacking onus from that side. But another key is that we must finish our chances tidily because they will as well, and so we won't have as many chances as probably we had this past match to put another goal on the board, and it's just that's really very important that Joseph doesn't. It's like 1 of 3 is kind of crazy for him, but it usually is more than that, right? So
exactly.
He usually only needs 1 chance, and so
and we know Toronto is going to be clinical, so we need to finish our chances.
Exactly, and one of those guys that's super clinical is Pozuelo, so we need to pay special attention to him because he is their talisman for sure. Leading goal scorer, leading assist maker. Definitely a guy that, if it's Eric Bermetti, if it's a Larry, they need to just lock him up tight. If we need to make tactical fouls, it's one of those where if you need to take a yellow, do it.
Yeah, because you can't miss the cup final with a yellow card suspension anyway. So.
So yeah, if it's like you go, I go, and then you get the card. So be it.
Right.
Just finish with 11 guys on the pitch. But and part of that is to be physical with Toronto a little bit. I think you have to match a little bit of the physicality, especially if Josie Altidore does play as well. That is kind of the onus is if you can impose yourself on them, then
because they definitely will try to. I mean, I think we saw a little bit with NYC. We've seen them with our past matchups as well. They definitely will be physical to try and take us out of our game.
Right. But as always and as ever, the Bens with all of the fans' energy, that's what we fuel the team with. And so, if you can make it out of the match, make it out to the match.
Yeah. It could be our last home match.
Exactly. It's a Wednesday, but it doesn't matter. You gotta up the 5 stripes. So, but anyway, the team has been talking about the match as well. And Jeff Lorenowitz talked about them being dangerous all over. He said, I think the one thing that they have is in every position on the field, they've got experience. It's kind of a calmness. You can look at every single guy in that 11 and say, yeah, he knows what he's doing. And that's tough. Every single game since 2017, we played them. It's been a difficult game, and I expect nothing different on Wednesday. Frank de Boer, who hasn't faced him as much, but has faced him twice this season. Toronto has some quality players. They can play different systems. Playing with Pozuelo as a false striker, we have to do better than what we did at Toronto. They control the first half, and we could have been down a couple goals. They have experience in the midfield with Michael Bradley. He's a little bit like Haris Maduyanen. You don't want him to build up and dictate the rhythm of the game. And anything us as fans can do to put him off. We definitely booed him at every touch in his first appearance at the Bens. I don't know if that actually hurt or helped them. But maybe some other creative ways that we can put him off as well. Maybe we could do that. But
do whatever we need to.
Exactly. And so Jose Martinez. He didn't watch the Toronto match, but he probably doesn't need to. But he said that there's only one option to win. Toronto played very well. That's what I was told. But in the end, everyone wants to win. They have a team with many experienced and talented players, but we have to think of ourselves and playing the final at home. So I mean, that's I
think he sums it up.
Yeah, this is the conference final. This is another trophy in the cabinet, whether it's as up there as some of the other trophies. No, but another trophy. That's what you're playing for too, as well. So.
I just think it's a must-win, man. You're one step away from giving yourself a chance to defend your title. Oh yeah.
You give it everything you got. Yeah. So who's gonna be part of this starting 11? Let's get through the lines.
Start between sticks.
No doubt. Guzan.
Got to, man.
Yep. And then, so in terms of the shape, will we go back to a 3-5-2? Will we go to a 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 that we played? And that's the question. But I think for me, it's a 3-5-2. It returns. It's what we're very used to, and because we. I think have a little bit more of some experience returning as well. But what's your 3-man back line?
Yeah, so I have this coming out in a 3-5-2, but I think it'll be a little bit flexible, and we'll get into the personnel. But the back line: Escobar, LGP, Pogba. I think they make up the 3-man back line.
I agree with you there. And so it's one of those things where, I think it's the best 3-man backline that we have at the moment, especially with Pogba showing how well he's done, especially as well. I think we have a very, very similar in terms of, well, maybe not actually, looking at it. But we know, at least at the right wing back position, it's Julian Gressel.
Yes, for sure.
Of course. In the midfield, it's going to be maybe a little bit different. For me, I have Eric Remedi and Nagbe. Eric Remedi kind of can, I think, mark an Alejandro Pozuelo a little bit more tightly as he has kind of in the past, like a Maxi Morales type of guy, where, he can kind of at least chase him down and pretty much be that kind of one-on-one on him. Like he's just gonna be attached to the hip to him, and that way, he can match him pace for pace as well. And so, a guy that also has been kind of kind of been excluded from the 11 at times this season. It's definitely in the postseason for sure.
Yeah.
But I think it's just not Larry's match, I think, for this one. But you got something different?
Yeah, no, I got Larry and Nagbe in the middle. I mean, just for me, it's why break up a good thing at this point. You know what I mean? It's working. I mean, Larry, I think, has been very good, especially in terms of covering ground and, you know, like winning the ball up the field, like we talked about before. I think
he's looked like a new man. I mean, he's energetic.
Right. I mean, maybe it's because he's gotten a lot of rest this season.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, I mean, he's been showing out, and so yeah, I would leave him in there. I think Remedy, you know, is definitely a possibility to come off the bench, but I start the match with Larry and Nagbe.
Yeah. And then in terms of left wing back, I mean, I think still left wing back in that position going forward, we still need the guy that can create the most chances, and that's Justin Meram. Whether, he was rightfully so, sat for the last match or not, I think, he can come back hungry and willing and wanting to either not only get on the score sheet, but, create some goals. I feel like, he will come hungry. I think it's just, at wing back, Ambrose doesn't create as much going forward, but he's definitely more solid coming back. So it could go either way. I can see Ambrose starting.
Yeah, and that's who I have. I have Mikey Ambrose starting. I like I prefer the left-footed player as a wing back to help maintain the width, and keep him honest. And also, I think having Ambrose in there makes it easier to shift between a 3-man and a 4-man backline. I think that's what we'll see. So I wouldn't be surprised if at times you see Escobar, LGP, Pogba, Ambrose back in a 4, and maybe Gressel helping out in the middle a little bit in the midfield, because I do think the midfield will need support against their midfield, and so I think for that reason I have Ambrose in there.
Yeah. Now getting to the number 10, I think we're in agreement. Ezequiel Barco is the number 10 here, and I mean, he had a pretty decent night, as well. He had to come off early, but I mean, that was a tactical change.
Yeah.
But still, I think him being able to dictate things as well as, PT Martinez, who we both have as well in the middle. Yeah, that's somewhere the chance creation needs to come from those two guys. We need to be able to get the ball to them so that they can get the ball to our striker, Joseph Martinez.
Right.
So,
and
that's
the game plan.
That's the game plan. And in terms of, is the shape kind of, is it hard and fast 3-5-2? That's where Frank de Boer has been kind of surprising us throughout the postseason as well. Like, you don't know who he's choosing. Like, you don't know how he's setting up. He's changing things. Some have maybe thought he's maybe overthought it, but I mean, I think he got it bang on last match as well. I mean, I think he's currently definitely seeing some things in training that is definitely feeding that just change of tactics that has been very, very effective so far. So
I think you're seeing a trust too. To be able to feel confident rolling out multiple positions within a match, even.
Right. So
I mean, shapes.
Yeah, exactly. And so, do I feel absolutely confident that he's going to pull out what I predicted here? No, because he's been completely unpredictable. And so, he's been as unpredictable as Tata Martino last season in the postseason. So, I think that's good in a sense that, the opposition definitely won't know either. I mean, a couple of guys that follow the team pretty much religiously aren't able to figure that out. I mean,
we got the last lineup wrong. We'll probably get this one wrong too. But hey, as long as he keeps working, the boy is demonstrating that he knows what he's doing.
Exactly. So I don't care if we get it wrong as long as he gets it right. So so that gets us into the score prediction. What do you got, man?
Yeah, we talked about the previous matchups. It's gonna be tough. I got 2-1. I think we kind of scraped by a little bit, but I think our performances, I think we've deserved wins from our performances, and I think that continues. I just think we have the better team on paper. I like how we're looking right now, especially on defense. And I think we get the job done. 2-1.
We've been very, very solid defensively throughout the postseason. I feel like this is the type of game, though. Toronto FC, they always play us, and we always get a bunch of goals. Like, in terms of, there's goals on both sides for both teams, and I think it's not any different in this one as well, because they have firepower, they have experience, we have firepower, we have experience, but I think we edge it out 3-2, and so that means a second straight MLS Cup final if we can do it. So hopefully the Five Stripes can do it.
Yeah.
Up the Five Stripes.
Woo!
But anyway, that does it for the match preview and gets us to our question of the day.
Yeah, so we're 2 games into the postseason, and which player has surprised you most, positively or negatively? Jump in the comments, let us know, tweet at us. We'll read all of our answers.
We're very much looking forward to what your answers are. But anyway, that's it for us today. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video because it really does help us a lot. And smash that like button. And for Mark, I'm AJ. Thank you guys so much for watching.